Okay, I think we are. Okay, so just a few updates about what's happening around the building on the stuff that our committee is interested and concerned about. So in the budget negotiations that hopefully be wrapping up today, that there's been an immense amount of discussion and negotiation back and forth around language. Good. Okay, around language that we had in our committee had put in our recommendation to the House Appropriations Committee on the postponement of payment reform for designated and specialized service agencies. And because right now they're in the process of going through the reform for the conflict-free case management that we've had a couple of presentations about. And so that there's been an intense amount of negotiations about that. Long story short, many different versions back. The department will have to report to Joint Fiscal Committee at its July meeting and at its September meeting before implementation. And they will need to report on the impact on individuals and on providers. And but they will be able to proceed in October. That was the, best we could do. There was veto threats, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, but there is still and I am on Joint Fiscal Committee, and that's a public meeting, and we'll be hearing directly from providers, not only from the department. So, I think that's, it's better than what, some folks wanted. Continuing negotiations are happening downstairs on H91. Our last big bill to get through that we expect to hopefully pass this session. And I don't really have any other updates on that other than it's scheduled all next week downstairs with the vote at the end of the week. So I'm going to see what I can do to hopefully move that up a little bit. And so we'll see, but there is movement happening. There is, Dan, I'm gonna ask you to look, oh, hey. Hello. Welcome. Yeah. It's so nice to meet you. He's so proud. Oh, that's okay. I sent a text to people. Introduce your lovely family.
Stanley, cop over 30 years. They call him Stan the man. It is my first son, Todd, from my second marriage.
Oh, welcome. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
So, and Todd, I understand you're going to be a Vermonter for a while anyway, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, welcome to Vermont. I hope you enjoy your time here, and it's nice to meet some of Todd's family.
I'm working on building our plumbing, bring people here to work.
Yeah, well, that's good. Help the economy, Todd, help the economy. So, thank you.
Nice to meet you both.
Thank you for coming up. We're just doing brief updates, Todd, about what's happening with the stuff that our committee's been interested and concerned about. Folks from transportation reached out, and would you touch base with them, Dan? It's something about Medicaid transportation and DEVA. They said this is totally out of we have no idea what is being asked for. And so they said they would forward the language, but they haven't done that yet. But if maybe you could touch base with Matt Walker, Chair Walker, or Tim.
Yep.
They seem to be the ones. It's in conference committee, so it's something the Senate put in, and they don't really know what it is all about. If you wouldn't mind, because you're good on
Glad
that.
to do so.
You're good on that topic. I appreciate that. Okay. Also in the housing bill 127, thank goodness for Katie McClinn, because we didn't hear about this from anybody else, and it was something that was inserted in the Senate that we're going to take testimony on next week. On Tuesday. Great. So in the Senate, there was, it's not anything negative, but I felt like we should hear about it. It impacts individuals' housing for people with developmental disabilities. And there's some new process that is being proposed in the housing bill in a special section of that bill. So we will hear about that from Katie. We have we're finally through a variety of means, let's just say, we're able to hear that in the general assistance, quote unquote, program, that there is going to be funding left at the end of this year, about $6.8 million. And so we had, some thoughts of using that in our H91 bill, but the department identifies that they're going to be using that for shelter expansion and a number of other things. So we did have some concern about whether they had the authority to utilize that money in that way, because it was specifically appropriated for a specific purpose. However, Katie says that it looks like there is actually enough broad language in the budget bill from last year that enables them to do that. It's not against what we are, wanting to do in terms, it's being used on for people who are homeless and shelter development. So we will have to watch that budget next year because they're talking about new shelters that don't have operating funds. So there should be an increase being requested by the department next year for the operation of those shelters. Other things in the budget, we do have some other language things. Most of I can't think of anything that we asked for that had left the House. I mean, we didn't get everything we wanted in the House version, but the stuff that we were looking for in the House version has remained in the Senate version and now in conference. One thing that, just to make sure that everybody is on the same page and understands the discussion that was going on the floor yesterday about the Child Care Financial Assistance Program and the use of the child care contribution, otherwise known as the payroll tax for child care. This in the House, just for a little history, in the House, the governor's budget had taken $19 million out of the general fund that supports childcare. Childcare is supported by federal funds, state funds, and this childcare tax. Okay, so in the governor's budget, he had removed 19 million out of the general fund and put it into other items in the general fund. The House agreed with that approach. In other words, we were utilizing all of the childcare tax. The Senate, however, did the exact opposite, that's what was causing some of the confusion on the floor yesterday. Okay, so the Representative Holcomb, who was here with the amendment, had indicated that there was $20 million just sitting essentially in the tax from the tax revenues. That was not accurate. So the Senate has agreed with the House's position on this, and we're utilizing all child care tax money for child care, which is what it's intended for. So I just wanted to, in case there was any lingering confusion for people about that, I wanted to clear that up. Now, just a couple of brief things about the agenda next week. We were trying to arrange a site visit to the school from the what was it called?
Connected Circles.
Yes, Connected Circles. She hasn't been able to get back to us, and in the meantime, a bunch of agenda items have popped up that we need to attend to. So we'll try to arrange that for the following week. We are going to have testimony, hopefully next week, from designated agencies and the Department of Disabilities, Aging and Independent Living about conflict-free case management. Again, they have hired 2 contractors, and those contractors are having a direct impact on the workforce in the designated agencies right now. And so, and that also means then on the individuals who receive services. So there's another reason why we wanted that payment reform language to be in the budget. So there is a bit of a domino effect happening that is actually going to impact individuals who receive services. It's not just an administrative thing. And it's not just a, quote unquote payment reform thing. It's going to have impacts directly on individuals. So we're going to take testimony on that. We are going to hear from Ledge Council about the part of the housing bill that got added that impacts us. And then we have a variety of other things. We're rescheduling DCF, Tyler Allen, thank you. Tyler Allen, who was supposed to be with us yesterday, but the floor went so long that we needed to reschedule. So he'll be rescheduled.
Reschedule from a reschedule.
It is, I know, it is. Lori reported that he was very patient with us. So this is what happens sometimes. Our floor schedule is not changing next week. So it will still be, our regular schedule. However, the speaker did say that to be prepared on Friday, so we won't be scheduling anything for Friday afternoon. That is likely we will be still on the floor after lunch on Friday next week. So, and I don't know, you have to get your adjournment pool in.
Don't bother, I put in the winning.
Don't be putting anything in next week or the week after, because that ain't gonna happen. Anybody have any questions or concerns about things that are happening that you want to know about that maybe I'll be able to answer? Maybe I won't, but I'll try. Yes.
Give a quick update. H13 has been delivered to the governor.
As has which one?
S-36 made it through the Senate. I don't know, it's been delivered.
293. Yeah. Eric's bill, 293 was delivered on the same day. So hopefully he'll sign them both on the same day.
That'd be wonderful.
That was good.
What's that process? Because it looks like S-36 has made it through the Senate. What's the step then that takes place for it to be delivered? to the governor?
There's a lot of administrative stuff that happens afterwards. So this is probably something helpful for people to know. We don't, I thought like, okay, we concur, or the bill is passed and it's made it through the House and it's made it through the Senate. I thought like, okay, it's on to the governor, and that happens like the next business days. It takes like 5 days to get there, because there's a lot of different things that have to happen. And I don't know what they all are, and then the governor has 5 business days in order, counting Saturdays, I believe, but not Sunday, to sign, veto, or allow to pass into law. So now that bill has been concurred, the Senate Health and Welfare concurred with our changes to that bill. Now the full Senate is voted on it, and so it will be sent to the governor. It won't come back here at all.
So the days can really vary. Like there are some that do go like the
Really
next
quickly.
day.
If they can get it done.
Yeah.
I remember I had this happen last year because I was like, why isn't this bill at the governor's office?
Remember that
I was like,
bill.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So,
The one
That would-
thing,
yeah.
That gets
just
sat
I think,
there.
I know I had a report summary, that was left that I hadn't provided yet, so maybe next week if we have a little bit of time. And then we also discovered that psilocybin report.
Yes.
So
I read that. Yeah. No,
Yeah, I haven't read it yet, but.
On that one.
Yeah. maybe.
Time for reports. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
report
that's good.
backs.
Yes. Does somebody want to take a look at that psilocybin one?
We had already
You did.
discussed that.
Oh, that you did, okay,
Yeah.
I forgot that, okay. Okay,
Yeah, I had looked at it, and there was a Senate follow-up bill. There was a bill.
There was a
following up
bill?
on the
Yeah.
report that didn't move, which I thought was a good.
Yeah, I mean, it
step.
did.
What
yeah.
it proposed was a good bill, but the Senate didn't move it, and it was their baby
okay,
from
Yeah.
last session,
yeah,
so.
yeah, sorry, we'll be
They ran
done
out
by
of
then,
time,
probably,
no
Dan.
doubt.
Okay, any other things for next week?
And you asked me, but I don't remember now. You reminded me yesterday at the beginning with testimony, something. To make sure to take testimony. We can talk about it after. Yeah, you'd reminded, you said, don't let me forget this. I don't remember now.
Just if we had time, if we're doing, when we hear from Tyler on the same topic, the other key
Transportation?
person.
No?
No, the other key person on, no, I'm talking about,
Restraint.
detention restraint,
Oh,
is the, juvenile defender general.
oh.
is, I think, very in tune. But, you know, we don't need to do that. They'll come next year.
They'll come next year,
It was
yeah.
just, you know, if we had a gap, that would be somebody we could ask.
Yeah, it's sort of
That's-
balancing, like teeing things up
Right.
versus like, okay, how much of the testimony will we have to repeat next
No,
year, you
I,
know?
right, and
I've
now
been
we're
thinking about
getting
that.
at the point where we're gonna have to start, as you pointed
Yeah.
out, picking up on follow-up from the Senate and all
Yeah.
that. We're not gonna have as much of this.
Time,
And
yeah.
besides, David Sheets do
Also,
also.
that
We
is
can do
something,
that
that's-
offline.
Yeah, right, that's,
That is
that's about testimony on something
something
else.
our vice chair and our committee assistant are working on.
Oh, it's working on, okay.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, thanks, everybody. Have a good weekend. And for those of you who are mothers, happy Mother's Day. And for those of you who are mothers in other ways, happy Mother's Day to you all.